And it's a good Sunday morning, early Sunday morning. Welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan, stirring my coffee with chopsticks, using the vortex method, the only true way to optimize the taste of your coffee at the molecular level. We'll start our show, and we have a lot of important things to talk about today. But first, coffee. So perfect. It's about 29 degrees outside. It's dark. Got up at 3:30. How can I get up at 3:30? That means you have to go to bed really early, and I did after working really hard yesterday and burning my brain out. I hit the sack and went right out. Woke up naturally at 3:30. Feel strong, feel great. Today's going to be a gym day later on, which I'm going to put to practice some new things that I learned from people like you after overdoing it a little bit the other day. So I took an extra day. I guess it was, when did I work out? Today's Sunday. Took an extra day. I usually work out 2 days a week. Full, exhaustive workouts. Not a gym rat kind of person. And nothing against anyone who is, because you do need dedication to reach your goals. For me, 2 days a week of an exhaustive full body workout just does a wonderful job with me. But I strained something in my left shoulder. And I'm just always careful of injury. When I was 17 years old, I hurt myself in a deadlift. I was still in high school. I remember the weight room, and I remember the day, and there were pictures of Steve Reeves on the bulletin board in the weight room, who was my idol growing up. I loved Steve Reeves, who played the original Hercules. But I hurt myself in a deadlift, and son of a gun, that just created a pain that I was able to access ever since then very easily by lifting certain things. So I was always careful of deadlifting. And something happened to my shoulder this past week, and I don't know if it was from chin-ups or whatever, but I just felt something different. It feels good now. I was supposed to work out yesterday. I thought, let me just give it another day of rest. Nothing today. I feel perfect. But what's different about me now as an older guy is that I have patience. I can out. It's kind of like that game where two people look at each other and whoever blinks first loses. I can look pain in the face and say, all right, I can wait for you to go. I have patience. I don't get frustrated or stir crazy waiting to heal like I used to. Now I've got that in me. Okay, I couldn't get to the gym yesterday. I just needed another day of rest. And I did. Now there's some people who have disabilities that will never go away, and you have to learn to live with those things. I'm going to do a video on pain sometime and on the debilitating mental effects of persistent pain that people live with. It's a horrible thing. I went through it maybe once or twice in my lifetime, and I saw how it affects you mentally when you live with pain. Let's get right into the show. If she cancels at the last minute, she got another offer, and that offer is not you. as Rollo Tomasi says, and this is supportive of that statement, you can't negotiate desire. And there's several statements that I make, I'd say at least once every 4 to 6 weeks on Twitter. This is one of them. If she cancels at the last minute, she got another offer. Live with it. Genuine, true, deep desire in somebody, whether it be instantaneous sexual desire or relationship desire, can't be denied. Most people can't overcome that. So the reality is, she's just not that into you. And you got to live with it. Period. Move on. That's why people say spin plates. I don't say that. But there is a rationale behind that, where you're not putting all of your give-a-dams on one person. If you spread it out, when it comes to relationships, that is. When it comes to business, it's balls to the walls, pedal to the metal, until you reach your goal, your metric. Different in relationships because you're dealing with a moving target all the time. It's never been easier to fire your boss and do your own thing. If I had employees, I would lead them like a quarterback, not manage them like a herd of animals. Don't you want the Super Bowl ring of business? Don't you want to lead your team? If you had a business, rather than manage people, I've said this for years, that people are silently begging to be led. People don't want to be managed, they want to be led. It takes a special kind of person to do that. I know that because I have friends who were top coaches. One of these days, I'm going to do a video with my friend Dick Vermeil. Some of you know Dick, who was a very popular coach in his day. Gosh, I think he's like my dad's age. He's a friend of mine. And we're going to sit down and we're going to have coffee or drink wine and we're going to talk about leadership. I think you would enjoy that. And I know he gets up early too. So maybe I'll just swing by, pick him up, and we'll go get coffee somewhere and talk like this. How's your picker doing? Your picker, that thing, that compass inside of you that says this is the right decision. How's it doing these days? I first heard that term from a woman I know that was married 3 times. Huge red flag. Dated her, and in the process of getting to know her, found out she was married 3 times. I said, "What's with the 3 marriages?" She said, "My picker doesn't work very well." And I said, "Picker? What's a picker?" She says, "You know that thing inside of you that says this is the right person or this is the wrong person?" She says, "I always chose the wrong person." Now, there's a couple different ways to interpret that. And you're already thinking of, I already know, you're already thinking of a few different ways that that could be interpreted, where she does pick the wrong guy, who could be a jerk, or she's just, for lack of a better term, monkey branching. Maybe she was emotional in the beginning, and then not practical as time went on in picking men. Who knows? I don't know the answer, but I know what some of you are already thinking. But how is your picker doing? Are the people that you're choosing in your life, are they quality people? Does your internal compass guide you to the right people or to the wrong people? Now, you don't know what's right or wrong unless you become the right person. Okay? So you becoming the right person, or living a most excellent life, or being the best version of yourself, means that you are optimizing yourself. When you are optimized, you make better decisions. If you're working out and getting in shape as a man, you will make better decisions about women because you're learning to avoid pitfalls in your life. And those lessons get learned in the physical arena. Any arena where there's discipline, it spills over into other areas. If that was 100% true, then every bodybuilder guy would have a perfect relationship, which is not true. So let's get real about that. You can still have a bad picker and be in great physical shape. But the idea is to let that discipline and that wisdom spill over into other areas. Because you're a master in one area doesn't mean that you can be a master in another area. I'm the kind of man who likes to get away, likes to start dreaming about tomorrow today. Never said that I loved you even though it's so. Where's that duffel bag? It's time to go. Marshall Tucker Band, 1977. Here's an important concept. If it wasn't for incompetent managers and crappy companies, nobody would start a new business. Sometimes a poorly run workplace is just the kick in the pants a person needs to spread their wings and do their own thing. I call that a blessing in disguise. And I referred that particular tweet to somebody who included me in one of their tweets about a signature that they put on an email where some people in their company felt it was threatening. Some weak men or feminists or something thought that it was threatening. And they were encouraged to maybe change the signature on their email. My advice was, if you're playing on someone else's playing field, then you have to play by their rules. That's all the moaning and groaning in the world. I know it's not fair. I know it's stupid. But such is life. That could be just the impetus you need to start your own gig. That's why I said if it wasn't for this workplace bullshit that's going on, nobody would start a new business. Are you a little more motivated now to do something on your own because of that workplace BS? That's what got me moving. That's how I left working in a damn mall. I used to work in a mall. Some of you new people don't know this. I used to cut hair in a mall. A freaking mall. Every day, the zombies, 7:30 in the morning, pull their cars up, and they just walk, and just like no one in a hurry. Just like zombies. I'm talking about mall employees. And I wrote an ebook about this called How to Leave Retail Once and for All. And I set my goal for 18 to 24 months to get the hell out of the mall. Because there was music in the hallways of the mall, the general area of the mall. And then in the store that I worked, there was music, coming out of the ceiling. And just like mall noise in my head all day. I was like, ah! I was literally getting physically sick from just the data and the noise coming into my life. There was not, even when you took a lunch break, it was noisy because where would you go? The food court. Or I'd go out and sit in my car. Oh, that was another thing. That was one of the reasons why I started driving I would say the lesser of the two cars to work, was because of the mall parking lot. So what I didn't want to do was drive the nice car to the mall and have it be unattended all day by people just dinging it, banging it. The little car that I have that you see me drive, which I just call like my commuter car, that thing has so many dings and that bumper has been hit so many times. I would come out and I'd have to do a once around, walk around the car and say, there's a new dent. That's how bad it got. I worked in the King of Prussia Mall. Hated it with, oh, it didn't take very long for me to like really just say, I am so done with this. And that's when I left. I gave myself 18 to 24 months I gave myself a P.I.D. Go back through my other videos. I call it a personal independence day. Don't make it too soon because you'll set yourself up for failure. Your P.I.D., your personal independence day, is the day that you fire your boss or resign. 18 to 24 months, as much as 36 months. So it could be a year and a half to 3 years. It doesn't happen fast. Be patient. Be patient. I posted in the community section of YouTube today and also on my Instagram, which is at George A. Bruno. If you're not following me on Instagram, you should. About beard growing. Like the beard that I have. This is the length that I want for the winter. I like it. It's more than just a shadow. It's not a massive beard. It looks good if I'm in jeans and boots or in a suit and tie. It's just a nice length right now for me. It's a good beard. But I had to grow something bigger and gnarlier in order to trim it down. The critical mass has to be there. And then you basically sculpt the shape that you want from a critical mass that is bigger than what you want. So you got to exceed the mass that you think you need, and then trim it and shape it, sculpt it, and then you end up with a perfect beard. There were some people in last year's winter videos when I had a beard similar to this last year. People were saying, that beard is so fake, it looks like it's pasted on. Nothing fake about this. It's just the way it grows, plus the fact I've trimmed, sculpted over 12,000. I actually lost track after 10,000. And then I estimated it's probably at about 12,000 and more than that now. But don't overestimate your ability to break free. It's going to take some time, but you can do it. Rats on the west side, bed bugs uptown. What a mess. This town's in tatters. I've been shattered. My brain's been battered, splattered all over Manhattan. This town's full of money grabbers. Go ahead. Bite the big apple. Don't mind the maggots. Mick Jagger, 1978. And then let's just read something from the blog. I was talking about Romans 13, and I'm not doing Bible studies, so you agnostics, atheists, and Satanists, and whatever you guys are, don't freak out, all right? I'm probably more tolerant than you are, and I can prove it. Let's talk about Romans 13. It talks about the government, but I'm going to develop something as a result of this. Romans 13 says, be a good citizen. All governments are under God. Insofar as there is peace and order, it's God's order, so live responsibly as a citizen. If you are responsible to the state, then you're responsible with God, and God will hold you responsible. Duly constituted authorities are only a threat if you're trying to get by with something. Decent citizens have nothing to fear. Do you want to be in good terms with the government? Be a responsible citizen, and you'll get on just fine. The government could be working to your advantage, but if you're breaking the rules right and left, watch out. The police aren't there to be admired in their uniforms. This is obviously a paraphrased version of Scripture. God has also an interest in keeping order, and he uses them to do it. That's why you must live responsibly, not to just avoid punishment, also because it's the right way to live. That's also why you pay taxes. It's an orderly way of life that can be maintained. Fulfill your obligations as a citizen, pay your taxes, pay your bills, respect your leaders. That's from a very, very loosely paraphrased version of Romans 13. So I say, okay, it's clear. I agree for the most part. Government is okay. It's not good. It's not great. It's okay. Without it, we don't have criminal justice, good roads. Families aren't intact anymore, so obviously the state needs to come in and advocate many times for the disadvantaged, disabled. I like to say children and elderly and disabled, not for able-bodied people. But we're aware of the abuses of government, and those are the things that Americans hate about Washington, D.C. So here's my hypothesis. The government in the first century was the Roman government. They were adversaries of Christianity historically. They truly were an enemy. But today, things are different. In the United States, and 60% of my audience is American, our government is a we the people type of government. If we don't like something, we certainly have the right to change it. We can vote in or out people who represent or don't represent us. They could not do that in the first century with Rome. If you stood up against Rome, which was the Washington, D.C. of that day, you would die. You could die. And I'm not saying that we are not doing that today. The Roman Colosseum is a testament to that, as Christians were put to death as entertainment sponsored by the government. So should we be so passive and have a Romans 13 attitude today about obedience to the government? How is Romans 13 relevant today? Christians aren't different. People of faith are not different, but the government is. Is our relationship with the government different now because it's a different government? How do you live this out today? How do you flesh it out when it comes to elections? Do you still have to go to slaughter at the hands of the government? Some would say yes, some would say no. I'm asking more questions than providing answers. No one is appointed except Supreme Court judges, and at local levels we vote them in. All other government rulers are put there by no one else but us. So when we vote, are we really voting our values, or are we voting pop culture? Are we voting for what is best for people in general, or are we voting for special interests? Again, I have more questions than answers. As a conservative, libertarian-ish kind of person, I want less government, and I don't want anyone telling me what to do. I don't want anyone forcing stupid beliefs on me either. This is a rabbit hole. It can go on forever, and we can talk about this. And there are entire YouTube channels that are dedicated to this. But I'm asking that question, and I don't want to turn this into a political channel in any way. That's not what it's about. I want this channel to impact people who don't have an interest in politics and want to come here and get fed to have a most excellent life. Man, this coffee is so good. Have a great Sunday. Finish your coffee. Get a workout in. I will see you tomorrow morning.